Ride along with me on Columbia River Road between the towns of Nespelem and Omak in eastern Washington. It is in this very area we're traveling that Bill Stubblefield was shot twice and left for dead. In this video, and with the aid of Google Maps, Stubblefield Point can be located. Looking to the left side of the screen is the direction to the area, approximately 5 miles from where we're driving now. So here is Bill Stubblefield's story. On a frigid, foggy morning on April 26, 1885, the vast expanse of the hills north of the Columbia River stretched silent under a blanket of mist. Bill Stubblefield, a rugged pioneer with a weathered face and a heart as steady as his horse, rode alongside his friend Jim Morris. The two had been out since dawn, checking the sprawling ranch lands they called home. As the cold seeped into their bones, the promise of a warm drink lured them toward a secluded cabin where a fellow settler was known to keep a stash of whiskey. Jim Morris, a man prone to quick tempers, carried an old rifle slung over his shoulder. The cabin's occupant, an overly friendly sort, welcomed them in, but something soured Jim's mood. Perhaps it was the fog or the weight of the day, but he decided to change the plan. With a nod to Bill Stubblefield, he suggested they call on a different neighbor. Clutching the only gun they had, Jim Morris led the way, his steps heavy with intent. The air grew thick as they approached Rattlesnake Canyon within those hills, where the land dipped into shadows. During the tense silence on May 3rd, 1885, Jim Morris turned, his eyes glinting with something dark. Raising his gun, a shot rang out, and then a second, the blasts echoing off the canyon walls. Bill Stubblefield staggered, clutching his abdomen, where 2 bullets had torn through. Jim Morris fled into the mist, disappearing like a fart in the wind, leaving Stubblefield to collapse against a gnarled tree, blood pooling at his feet. On an unspecified date in early May 1885, weeks after the shooting, a springtime search party found Stubblefield barely alive. They carried Stubblefield to a nearby ranch, laying him on a rough wooden table. With no doctor in sight, they sent a rider galloping to Wilbur, some 50 miles away and on the other side of the Columbia River. Most likely crossed using Seaton's ferry. Old Dr. Yount arrived hours later, or perhaps even the next day, his hands steady despite the urgency. He opened Bill's wounds, stitched the gaping holes, and packed them with dry salt, a desperate measure born of necessity. "He won't last the night," the doctor muttered, shaking his head as he rode off. But Bill Stubblefield was no ordinary man. Through the haze of pain, he clung to life. The salt stung, drawing out the infection, and by the morning of May 4th, 1885, he stirred. The ranch hands marveled as he recovered, his spirit unbroken. Word spread, and soon Jim Morris was tracked down, tried on November 8, 1885, and found guilty. The judge's gavel fell with a $10,000 fine and a $15,000 bond, but Jim slipped away into the night soon after his trial. I have found no record of why the shooting occurred or Jim Morris's motive. Years later, January 1886 to be precise, Bill stood behind the counter of a small store and post office in Douglas County as its proprietor, the jingle of the postmaster's bell being a familiar sound. A proud and successful member of the community, the scar on his belly was a quiet reminder of that foggy day. One winter, around 1896, Bill himself lost in a dense fog near a coulee's edge. If you are unfamiliar with a coulee, they are boxed valleys walled by tall basalt walls carved by the Ice Age floods. He nearly met his end again, tumbling into the abyss. Yet, as always, he dragged his way out, his resilience a legend etched into the land he loved. And so, Stubblefield Point was named, an area where he was shot among its countless acres, a marker of survival where the shrubs and tumbleweeds had once cradled a man back from death's grip, his story whispered in the winds of the Columbia River hills. I hope you have enjoyed this true account of this crime and its incredible victim. From my search, there is little record of what happened to Jim Morris. Was he later caught? Did a bail bondsman find him? Did he reoffend? It's just another mystery here in the Pacific Northwest. Please, like this video if you have found it entertaining or just enjoyed the drive. And if you enjoy content like this, please subscribe to the channel. Cheers.